What's going on, you guys? My name is Fitz, and I'm on a journey to build a $500,000 a month real estate wholesale operation. I'm sharing my journey with you guys to hopefully, help some people avoid some of the mistakes that I've made and some of the mistakes that I'm making, but also give you guys some actionable and practical, tips or words of wisdom, whatever the case is, from somebody who's actually in the field doing this thing, daily. And I don't want you guys to think that this is all, coming directly from me. I have mentors in the space who are absolutely amazing. They're just so far ahead at this point. It doesn't make sense for them to do videos and stuff like this. So I do learn a lot from them, but I also take what they give me and I apply it myself, because some things you just can't learn. No matter what I tell you guys got to know that some things you can't learn or won't fully understand until you're actually in the field, actually doing it. So that brings me to one of the key topics that the topic that I want to talk about today. Ironically, is about my goal of hitting $500,000 per month. I was doing some math over the weekend, and I was really just thinking about what it takes to get that business. Not that that was the first time. I've thought about it numerous times, every single day actually. But this weekend I really meditated on it. And I wanted to share with you guys what I think is a real sweet spot for your business, like a real sweet spot. Because after I did the math on, $500,000 a month real estate wholesale business, if I do it right, I'll probably walk away, or the company will probably profit, not including taxes and all that stuff, somewhere around 200 grand. So as I'm sitting here thinking about the different components of the wholesale operation, the different things that I have to think about is, the different team members, the quality of life for those team members, the management of those team members, the different management of, payroll, having, different, or having consistent meetings every morning, keeping the morale up, having training, just really keeping everything, as tight and simple as possible. Where I see a lot of people mess up at in this industry, and I'm just trying to learn as much as possible from other folks, they grow their team too big too fast, or they grow their team too big in the first place. Like I saw this Instagram reel where the guy from Investor Lift was interviewing this other guy. He asked him how many team members he had. He said nine or 10. He said like 9 or 10. And he said, how many deals were you closing? And the guy said, about 8 or 9. So he's like, about 1 deal per person per month. That sucks, because now you got to manage 9 different people just to get 9 deals per month. That's a horrible business model. If you guys ever find yourself in that situation, you might need to close down shop for a second and figure out exactly what's going on, which is why your numbers are so important. We'll get into another video where I start talking about KPIs, but I don't even hear people talk about KPIs. That's how you really grow and scale a business. That's the lifeline, that's the lifeblood of your business. If you don't know the numbers behind your business, you might as well close up shop. But anyway, that's a business model, that's a business structure that I don't want, because I know the most difficult part about growing any business is managing and dealing with people, because people change because they're emotional. Sometimes they might feel this way, another time they might feel completely different way, and there's definitely a sweet spot there's a sweet spot to how many people and what type of personalities can mesh well together. So you got to think about all of those different things. So with all of that being said, I feel like I've come up with like the ideal wholesale business model that will cause the least amount of stress. It won't be the biggest wholesale operation, but it'll be consistent, it'll be predictable, and it'll be small enough to be agile, and it'll be agile enough to where you can pivot super fast without having to move a whole lot of different moving pieces. So Hear me out. This is the business model. This is the structure. This is the team structure that I like for an operator to be able to operate and earn somewhere around $134,000 per month, and that's in your pocket, or that's for the business, right? And think about what that does, right? You got $130,000 a month coming in profit. Your investments, your external investments, can skyrocket, can absolutely go crazy. Your quality of life goes absolutely insane, right? And that $130,000 number, I'm going to reverse engineer it for you. That $130,000 number comes from earning a profit of around $220,000 per month, and that's closing approximately 11 deals per month at an approximate average of $20,000 per deal. So that's closing 11 deals per month at $20,000 average, and at 60% profit margin. So how did I get 60% profit margin? Well, 10% of the deal has to go to the acquisition guy. Well, not has to, but that's just the business model I'm building. 10% goes to the acquisition guy. 10% goes to the disposition guy. 10% goes to just general admin expenses. So you have two quality acquisition guys. I mean, they got to be monsters. They got to be real self-driven, like King Kong style closers. Like you cannot cut corners with this. You might have to look at a couple hundred people to find just one of these type of people that I'm referencing. But you want to have two of those. And the reason why you want to have two of those is because you need to be able to feed that person 25 leads per week. You need to be able to feed them 25 leads per week, which ultimately should equate to them getting 2 contracts per week. So that means each rep should walk away with 8 contracts per month. Now, you got 2 reps, 8 contracts per month, that's 16 contracts. Naturally, there's a fallout rate. Let's say you have a 70% close rate, you're really good. Out of that 16, you should be closing 10 or 11. That's where that $220,000 number comes from. Each contract averages $20,000. Between 10 and 11 contracts that actually close that month, you're looking at $200,000 to $220,000 profit. Take away the 30% from all the expenses, the disposition, the acquisition, the administration. Now you're left with minus the marketing. Let's say there's another 10% in marketing if you do it the right way. Now you're at 60% profit margin on that 220, and that's where you get that 130 from. So to finish building out the team, you need 2 amazing acquisition guys, and then you need maybe 1 or 2, depending on the deals. I'd say start with one disposition guy, but realistically, in order to manage those 10, 11 deals in the pipeline, you might need 2. Either way, both of those guys are getting paid 10% of the deal. Now, the beautiful thing about this model, everybody eats. And that's an amazing feeling as a business owner when you have a business model, a structure where everybody can eat. And when I say eat, I mean everybody should be making over 6 figures. Quick side quest. I had a home healthcare agency, and we were licensed by the state, had Medicaid number and all that stuff, and I could only pay people pennies. I'm talking, I can only pay a CNA like $10 to $13 an hour. I can only pay an LPN like $17 an hour. And it's like, these folks can't really make a living off of that. So we had high turnover, and creating like a real trajectory for them as far as what their path would look like within our company over years. Honestly, it just didn't look that great because we were limited in what we could pay them based on what the state was paying us. So it didn't make me feel good. Didn't make me feel good at all. and the people in the industry don't really like the industry. And mind you, you're dealing with people like we had a pediatric home care agency. So you're dealing with kids. So you're dealing with frustrated parents and you're dealing with sick kids. It's a super high stress job for a little bit of money. I didn't feel good about paying people that. Fast forward, now I'm building this wholesale agency and I have the ability to create a structure where everybody in the company makes six figures. That's an amazing thing to me. That's a much, much better business model to me personally. Because now I can feel good knowing that, damn, man, these folks really taking care of their family because of a vision that I had and a foundation that I laid and an environment that I created for all of us to work together and feed each other's families. Very symbiotic relationship. So you got 2 acquisition guys, cold-blooded. You got 2 disposition guys, cold-blooded. 1 to 2 disposition guys, cold-blooded. And then you got 1 admin person taking care of just like little small admin stuff or whatever. And you're all in 30% with those guys and another 10, maybe 20% on the marketing. 10 to 20%. Most people are going to be on the 20% of the marketing, but if you guys do it right, as you start to scale up, you should actually be closer to like 10%, once you hit that sweet spot. So the perks of this business model is it's lean enough to be a really tight-knit family. It's lean enough to be a tight-knit family, which means when you're hiring these people, they need to be on the same accord. They need to have the same core values. They need to have the same vision in place, which means you got to have that vision in place, which means they got to fall in line with that vision. They got to truly believe it. They got to see what the outcome is for them sticking with this thing and being a critical team member, right? Because the last thing you want is to have 10 different team members. Half of them don't talk. They don't know each other. And one person is, thinking and feeling this way, while the other person is thinking and feeling that way. Because anytime you have 2 or more visions within one organization, guess what? By default, you have division, 2 visions, right? So to avoid that, you want to stay as tight-knit as possible, but you want to be as potent as possible, which means those acquisition and those disposition guys, you got to pour everything into those folks. You got to give them the best training that you can find. You got to give them the best damn vacation package that you can afford. You got to really treat them extremely well, and you got to provide for them to where their personal skill level is advancing, right? And you got to get really creative about how you keep those people there, because if you're going to operate with just 2 acquisition guys, in real life, you set yourself up in a slight disadvantage. Because what happens when one of them decides to leave for whatever reason? Maybe they love the organization, but they have bigger ambitions. You got to hire somebody else. There's a way to do that. Keep your pipeline full. Never take your hiring ass down. And that's for, when people decide to leave, or if you got to let somebody go, right? So everyone knows that, hey, there's somebody ready to replace me at any given moment. Not that I'm, ready to replace you, but just from a business standpoint, you want to protect yourself, because you don't want to have a situation where I'm used to bringing in $220,000. This person leaves. Now we drop to $100,000 a month, and we got to wait 90 days to ramp back up to normal. You don't want to do that. So you need to have systems in place to where you always got somebody to replace one of those top acquisition guys. And furthermore, you have an environment to where those top acquisition guys really don't want to leave you. So the pros of this business model versus something like a $500,000 or $1 million a month business model, honestly, these guys that same business model could realistically probably get you to, $500,000 per month. But think about the logistics behind adding another 10 deals per month. Right, which means you're gonna probably have to get an average of another, 12 to 13 contracts per month, right? So you're just adding a whole bunch of more logistics, which ultimately will lead to more headache. So the reason why I'm stressing this business model, the 2 acquisition guys, the 2 disposition guys, and a 10% marketing budget, is because it gives you the flexibility, the peace of mind, a simple organization that packs a really powerful punch. And when you hit that point, you can easily, at that point, you're bringing in 1.5 a year. You can easily bring in a CEO or somebody to kind of manage that whole organization. And mind you, you got some real heavy hitters, so they should really be able to self-manage themselves if you put the proper system in place. But again, if you want to remove yourself fully from that, you're making $130,000 a month at that point. You hire somebody, you bring them in, out of what you're making 1.3 a year, hell, you pay them, $200,000 a year, 210 plus bonuses. Now you're still making $1 million a year on autopilot. And guess what? If you got a good CEO, let him grow the company. Remove yourself, let him grow the company, let him scale the company from that point. But you just think about forming that base. You think about forming that base, because a good CEO, he's not just gonna blow it up out the water. He's gonna maybe bring 1 or 2 other people in, one or two people at a time, maybe start scaling up gradually. And before you know it, guess what? Now you're making even more money than when you were actively in the business. Completely stress-free. My whole reason for building this business is to create a cash machine that spits out enough cash, again, to take care of me, my family, other loved ones around me, and to leverage that cash flow into other passive investment, vehicles or other business endeavors that I want. I'm not married to the wholesale business model. I just think it's an amazing business model to grow and get to a certain point. Once it gets past a certain point, it doesn't scale that well. But if you keep it in that sweet spot where you're looking to make 200 to 250 a month, I think you have one of the best business models in the world. Easily scalable to that point, and very consistent, heavy cash flow, and it's going to be around for years. So that's my take on, the best wholesale business model. As I, grow mine, I know I'm saying, hey, $500,000, but my goal with that $500,000 is to do it with that type of team. Now, we would be pushing that team, to its max. We might have to get creative with our deal size. Maybe we'll have to go in different markets and increase our deal size from 20 to maybe 40 or 50K, which I have a couple ideas on how to do that. But ultimately, I want a super small team, super powerful team, super fast, agile team, super tight-knit team, self-driven, that executes flawlessly, so that my bank account grows $120,000 every single month consistently. That's what this wholesale business model is supposed to do. Don't let them fool you. Anyway, if y'all got questions, don't forget that we have a challenge coming up. I don't know when you guys want to see this video, but we have a challenge coming up where it's a 30-day challenge, and the goal, they always got this gate broke. The goal for the challenge is to help you get your first or next deal in 30 days or less, guaranteed, if you follow the recipe. Now, I'm going to be real with you. If you don't have no marketing budget, it's going to be tough, because most of the marketing methods that I give you does require money. Now, that doesn't mean don't take the challenge, because guess what? You're going to have people with money but don't have time to manage their leads, or who aren't really good at the phone calls. So what you can do is come into the community, network, connect with people, and maybe you can put in some sweat equity. Maybe that person has a full-time job. Maybe that person is a doctor, a nurse. They got the marketing budget, or maybe they got the marketing budget and they just aren't comfortable being on the phone, but you're really comfortable being on the phone. So don't let a lack of money keep you out of the game. Come join the 30-day challenge, participate, give it everything you got, because it only takes one deal to really help kick off whatever it is that you're trying to kick off. It only takes one deal to get this business started. It only takes one. So anyway, link should be below for the school community for you guys to tap into that. and I'll see you on the next video. Peace out.